Are there things that you've noticed like on the high school level that are maybe things that these athletes can begin to help them, right? Or can help that, can help them moving forward as they start to go down the path of Division I rowing. And again, Penn AC and your time at Navy and Oregon State, like, are there some things that you think as high school athletes can really benefit from?
I think it comes back to the idea of, well, I guess what's the goal, right? I hear a lot of young athletes say like, hey, I want to be recruited. Is the goal to be recruited or is the goal to compete? And I think that's a very important distinction because the competition level you're aspiring to will help determine your path, be it Division I, Division II, Division III, club, right? What's the experience you're looking for? I think for any athlete who is aspiring to make the next step to any level, I think being complete is important. And that's an expression or a idea I heard years ago, where you're not just a rowing nerd, right? Like, love the sport, be a student of the sport. That's great. You also have to make sure your academics are on point. Like, it kills me when I meet, a young athlete who is just breathes the sport. Like, they love it. They do everything they can around it and in it, but their academics aren't where they need to be. Like, you can talk a big game. Like, you can talk about wanting to go to Brown or Cal or UVA or wherever, but a lot of these institutions are really academically rigorous. And if you're not doing it in the classroom, I mean, student athlete, student comes first. That one predicates the other. And if you're not taking care of the student part, you can be a club rower at like your local club and go to community college, but that's probably not the goal for a lot of people. So making sure that you are doing it in the classroom, I think understanding training to the best they can, and that just comes from having an open dialogue with coach, with their high school coach or their club coach, and just trying to understand where their growth points are. Like, I hear athletes like, oh yeah, I did 20K at steady state. Great. But your power is not quite where it is or where it should be, right? Like, you have to work all ends of the system. You have to be strong, you have to be fit, and everyone has points of growth. I still have points of growth as a professional, as a coach, right? I'm not exempt from that. No one's exempt from that. But academics, athletics, making sure that you have good relationships. And that includes with your coaches. It means having good relationships with your teachers, your academic advisors. And also, when you're in recruiting conversations, I think it's very important to be mindful of how you're going to be recruited. Because I am of the belief that you will be coached the way you are recruited. So if you walk away from a conversation going, man, that was a great chat, I learned more about the school, I updated coach on what I'm doing, take stock in that, take note of that. That's important. But if you walk away with a funny feeling like, man, that just landed weird, or you just aren't sure what to make of it, or maybe it was actually kind of negative, like you walk away feeling kind of, why? These are all things to build into the Rolodex of what you're looking for. As for where to start, be curious, and then build data points, right? Like, 2K is king in this country. That's a great start, but not all 2Ks are equal as far as, face value. Like, someone who's been rowing for, 6 months and pulling a 650 is someone who's very different, who's been rowing for 6 years and pulls a 650 or whatever time. So building out your 2K, your 5K, your 6K, if you do 30 minutes, do you have a max watt score? Do you have a 500 score? When you talk to coaches, transcripts, right? SAT or ACT, if those are still required, because some places are going test optional. Having context, like, are they a seasonal athlete? Like, at some schools, like especially prep and boarding schools, they have to do a sport every season, fall, winter, spring. So maybe they're a purely scholastic rower. Adding that context. Maybe they only started sophomore or junior year. Maybe they're still relatively new to it. Or have they been at that same, monster club since like they started in the, middle school sculling program, right? That met twice a week or 3 times a week. And rowing has been their primary sport. basically the more context you can add to your background, I think the better off you're going to be, because that provides more information on who you are and what your goals are. And that will ideally help you connect with a college coach and a college program that will be a tremendous fit and add a tremendous amount to that athlete's life. And then that opportunity presents itself for the athlete to contribute to that program and its history and its legacy and hopefully, its results.